Welcome to Positive Philter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career, with a little self-help along the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you enjoy the show.
Well, let me see this. Well, it's recording on this. So, hello, people of the world. It's Philip Wilkerson back with another episode of Positive Philter. I'm joined by two special guests. I'm joined by Whitney Kerr and Monique Sample. They just met each other for the first time, but being connected to me, they're already friends because I'm the man. So, we're all at Eastern EACE. And I just want to give my two guests an opportunity to share a little bit about who they are, and we're going to get into discussion. Maybe I think while it's fresh in our mind on the topic of belonging and inclusivity and all that stuff. So before further ado, Whitney, introduce yourself.
Sure. So, hi, my name is Whitney Kerr. Pronouns they, she, they is preferred, but she's okay. I am the Associate Director of Campus Engagement at Rutgers University Newark Career Development Center. And yeah, what else you want me to say? Anything?
That's good.
All right, cool.
Get right into it.
And I'm Monique Sample. I am the Diversity Programs and Employer Partnership Specialist with Virginia Commonwealth University. And this is my first Eastern EACE conference.
I love it. So we got two new people. I'm trying to do this thing where I mute myself so I don't get no back thing, but I get it's too overwhelming. So whatever. I'm just going to leave it all off mute. But
that's part of the ambience.
Yeah, I guess so. You're going to hear me, then hear each other again. But so I just want to go in right here, no preparation, just first thoughts is I think that the opening session by Gigi Gilliard was wonderful. And I'm not saying that for capping because she's a finer woman of Zeta Phi Beta and I have my good sister right here. But it was also very meaningful in the sense that it makes sense. Sometimes topics don't need to be over sophisticated to make sense. So that really resonated with me about the belonging. So I want to know, what were your initial thoughts as you talk about belonging, just first thoughts on belonging, period.
I took copious notes, I'm just saying. So I liked it. I think I liked it because she took it from a psychological standpoint versus just what we typically talk about when we talk about belonging. Everyone talks about, I feel seen and heard. Well, what about the psychological support? What about the, do you feel supported in all ways from every level? Do you feel safe in the environment that you're in? And that safety is going to carry over into the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
What about you?
So the one thing that I love the most is the fact that Gigi was able to translate the work that she does in the space that we're currently in, because everybody essentially needs to hear it. But, she does this in so many different spaces. Like she does it for Zeta, the same type of conversation, and she's able to make it, be Zeta-esque, I guess. Mm-hmm. But, just being mindful and cautious of the fact that there isn't just one type of individual in this space. There's not only career services people, there may be HR, there may be, leadership in the space, those that may not even have anything to do with any of those spaces. So having the opportunity to hear her and hear her say, this doesn't just count for one group of people, it counts for everybody. You have to be mindful of the spaces that you're in and making enough room for everyone. Like that's what I absolutely loved about it.
Yeah. I think the one simple way she did that, she didn't call like when you're working with students, she was saying when you work with constituents. Mm-hmm. So I thought about that. That was very intentional. She said that word over and over because then you can just say insert who is the people you're serving. Yeah. So constituents in this situation could be a student, could be an employer, could be just your colleagues within your office. So I think she was very strategic to use the word constituents and not like insert any group that people will be working with, because she was trying to identify that everyone is working with different people.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the piece that resonated most with me is the fact that, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Everyone's trying to get rid of DEI, and they think that they can strip us of that. But the thing that she brought to light was that it's never going away. You can't take it away, regardless of whether or not you take it out of the classroom, take it out of the environments or the learning and the things that we're doing. We all have to work together. We all have to get along. We all have to do certain things together. We all have to understand each other. And with that comes diversity. It comes with equity. It comes with inclusion. It comes with a sense of belonging. So it's going to be in the space regardless.
Exactly.
Now, how are we going to be intentional about caring for each other? How are we going to be intentional about our programming? How are we going to be intentional about the way we choose to speak to each other and the platforms that we have before us?
Exactly. And it's I'm really happy that you brought that up, because I have also heard that people want to get rid of DEI, and it's really frustrating. I get really annoyed, and I'm like, is it that you want to get rid of it because you're sick of hearing the term all the time? Or is it that you want the space that you're in for it to just come naturally to the point where you don't have to put too much emphasis on it because it just happens? And I think a lot of people, they're not thinking that type of question. That's the type of environment that I want to be in. Like, we've done it. We've trained everybody. We've educated everybody, and we made people comfortable so that it's not like so yes, this is DEI and this is what we're going to have to do.
Over. You don't want
over
it to
and over again.
It needs to be, like I said, I agree, being intentional, and I think it is the wave. But then naturally, like some of the things that we think are DEI initiatives are not say oversimplified, but at the core of it was like, duh, this makes sense.
Exactly.
Like, so people were like, we're making this really intentional effort. But I love how she was like, but technically, if you want people to stay, then you need to do this, belong, right? If you want people to even come here, and they're going to do their receipts and not, go there and feel like they got caught on a blind date. So you should it should just be a natural thing as an important, as opposite of being like a forced overt conversation over again. It should be part of the being of the culture, but we're not there yet, so it needs to still be part of conversations. Exactly. If that makes sense.
What we've described is a just environment. So when we talk about justice is all of those things included. And if we incorporate a just environment, we don't have to have or incorporate or be intentional about diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, accessibility, or any of that, because we're bringing all of that to the table and everything is just for everybody. It just happens. It's natural.
Yeah, but we're not at the natural part.
Right.
And that's why we need to have conversations, and that's why there needs to be intentional embedding of it with the titles and the positions in the task force, because it has not been natural. So when people say they want that kind of term to go away, well, then maybe we need to, it needs to be done so continuously that it could ideally phase out and be part of what it is. But it's not going to happen like that right now, because there's no proving that it's been done consistently.
Right.
It's like she just said, it could be one thing one month and then the one next month. So it needs to be continuous until it does. I don't even think that's going to, and I don't think there ever is going to be a time where it's just going to phase out, right? Because it can't phase out. So, yeah. I don't know. The one thing I really enjoyed about her presentation was the fact that she connected it to the very basic of how you want to feel at your home, and then you could insert that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to go to my staff meeting and say, do y'all love me? And let's see what happens. I'm going to say that junk, for real, no joke. I'm just going to say it. I'll text y'all when I do that junk. But, but it's the root of it. I be thinking about my son, the easiest lessons learned in kindergarten is little kids, man, they just walk up people and say, I like you, be my friend.
Right.
And then they have a good preschool class, right? They made it so simple. I'm going to share this toy. And then literally the simplification of it was the same way, right? When I think of those words, they're very simple words, welcoming and all that. But I was like, do we actually say that? Do we actually say, do you feel welcomed here? And then ask the real concrete question. Do you feel with all the things, do you feel happy here? Those words you wrote about your home. And really ask people if they felt like that.
I mean, when you correlate your home and the words that you think about with your home with the workplace, it should naturally happen like that. Because when you think about your workplace, you're there more than you are home.
Exactly.
Yep.
When you're at work more than you are with your family. I mean, COVID kind of shifted that, but you're still working more than you are with your family.
We back outside. I'm back.
Right, exactly. We outside. We in the office. So if I'm at work more than I am, I want to feel comfortable. I want to feel at peace.
Yep.
I don't want to feel chaotic.
Exactly.
I don't want to feel like there's turmoil or I feel like I'm constantly at angst.
Yeah.
No, I want to feel like when I go home, I'm at peace. I'm calm. I should feel that in the workplace too.
Exactly.
Yeah. There should be alignment. Like, we tell people, like, leave that abusive partner or boyfriend. Like, we say that junk real easy, quit, leave them. But I really thought about someone who was like, man, I don't know, man, that got paycheck. You might just have to ride that shit out. Like, I don't think we easily say those things. Like, I've had conversations where I said the very basic thing, like, are you happy here? And they're like, no. And then you're like, oh, dang, they're not really happy here. How, normally when we give advice, like, are you happy in your home with a relationship? You might be like, yo, cut them off, or even say, like, check them and have a conversation. But do we say those same things at work, right? When someone complains about the lack of safety and comfort and all that, we don't say this. I don't think we say the same advice to people.
We don't. We definitely don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because people tend to feel uncomfortable when, like, let's say something happens at work, something that can easily happen at home as well, and you will react or respond in a certain way while you're while you're at home. Like, I'm going to put you in check because you said something that made me feel uncomfortable. I don't think that this is right, whatever. But when you're in the workplace, you might feel like if I say this, even if I put it in a professional way, it might impact my job. Right. My supervisor, if it's something that my supervisor did, they, may approach me in a way like, well, okay, yeah, so you're going to have a shorter lunch break or something like that. Some stuff that they're not even supposed to be doing.
Exactly. But it goes back to that psychological safety.
Exactly.
And so
Instagram is just Instagram.
Yeah. It's done for Graham, man.
It's all good. What's up, Instagram? No, but it goes back to that psychological safety. Mm-hmm. Do you feel safe in the environment that you're in?
Exactly.
Like, regardless of where you are, or if you're at home in a relationship, if you're at work in a relationship, work is a relationship.
Exactly.
Yep.
Do you feel safe? And if you don't feel safe, we would tell any of our friends, we'd be like, nah. Cut it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about that too. No. When we talk about like you talking about friend safety, right? Like, I very easily where I've told my boys, I'm not getting in this car, man. That shit ain't safe. Like, they drinking and driving. But we're gonna go into a toxic workplace, like a dangerous work environment. Like, we will say, yo, I'm not going there because it's not safe. Or we'll say that, like, yo,
but the pay is good.
I don't know, man. Are we mercenaries? Like, you don't go to a situation like, yo, I'm about to go to this party. I know everyone in that junk's going to fight me. All right, but the pay's good. So why would I go to a room, it's kind of like that party, and say everyone in this junk want to fight me? Well, I'm just going to go in there because they got a paycheck. So I really don't think we have the congruence of what we say we want and other things, and ask her. I'm going to get those questions, like, and go through those questions, like, and say, like, what is my, like, structurally, what is my organization's commitment to this stuff? Ask them. Do y'all have this stuff here? Ask them. If I were to talk to your employees, would they say they belong? Mm-hmm. I asked that one time. I was like, yo, so how do we show appreciation and recognition here? And they stumbled this junk. And I was like, they ain't got no award program. They couldn't define it, right? Mm-hmm. It was like, okay, that's a red flag then. Either they do have it and not everyone's aware of it, which does happens with awards and stuff at universities and stuff, or they don't have that existing practice at all. So either there's a lack of awareness or there's not even there. Mm-hmm. So, like, asking those questions, like, either not everyone on staff knows about it, which is a bad thing, or it's just not available. So I love the fact that we just need to start asking those questions.
Definitely.
And ask it in a very simple, it don't need to be sophisticated. It could be very simple, like, do you feel comfortable here? That doesn't have to be like, due to stats and research and all that. Now I'd be asking questions like, are you happy? Do you like what you're doing? And ask those questions. Yeah,
that's essential.
But what about but let's also talk about it. What if you get the answer you don't want to get, though?
Oh, well.
Okay.
But that's the thing. Like, in any relationship,
if you're going to ask a question,
you're going to ask a question, you got to be ready for the real answer.
Yeah.
Like, are you authentic enough to be ready for the real authentic real question and real answer?
Exactly.
And if you're not, don't start asking questions.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You're not ready to hear the real. If you're not ready to hear the real, then sorry, baby.
Then you're not really ready for change.
You're not really ready. Exactly. Yeah. Woo.
So hold up. So what if someone said, what if you, like, on the this is the opposite end, right? what if you was like talking to someone, you say, hey, what do you do to support different people here? And they say, I don't know. What's your response to that?
So I've had employers, I've asked employers
That's what I'm saying. What do you ask? Yeah.
And when they say, I don't know, I'll say, you get back to me when you do.
Thanks. All right.
Like, I'm being completely real
okay,
with
how
them.
Do you say that nice way, or do you say
no, just
you
flat
have
out,
to say
just
it like that. You
just
can't
like that.
sugarcoat it.
I can't sugarcoat it because here's the thing. If I'm going to send students to you,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
you can't sugarcoat stuff with them. Mm-hmm. And I tell them flat out, you can't sugarcoat and just think you're going to get by with them. You can't sugarcoat it. So if you want to recruit my students, mm-hmm. they need to know you're coming from an authentic place.
Exactly.
So if you don't have these answers that I'm asking you, you're not going to get them.
Exactly.
And they're like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
We've never heard anybody tell us that. Well, I'm telling you now, and I'm coming from an authentic place, mm-hmm. meaning I see what you all are doing. I know that you have the capability of doing it. Let me help you get there.
Exactly. And that's why I'm so happy that she supplied those questions, because I feel like those are questions that students aren't going to think to ask.
No.
And if you provide them with those questions and provide them with the proper training, like you're asking these questions, the types of, tell me what kind of answers you want to hear.
Right.
For that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. If you go into the workplace, if you go into an interview and you ask the question and they give you something like,
mm-hmm.
they shrug you off. They're like, you're just a student.
That's not a concern, or
exactly.
Don't worry about it.
It's not that big of a deal. Then, okay, that's not the environment that you want to be in.
Right.
If you make a list of 10 things that you want to hear and they say nothing on that, or they say, I don't know, that's not the environment that you want to be in.
Yeah.
If they actually take the time to think and tell you, well, here's what we're trying to do, or here's what we're currently doing. We're not the best at it yet, but this is what we're trying to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And these are the conversations that I'm having with students
yes.
as it relates to identity and career.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel seen in this employer going into them? Mm-hmm. Like when you're going into the interview, do you feel seen? Do you see yourself around that table? That's the first thing I look for when I go into.
I definitely count the black people in the room. Shoot,
everywhere.
Listen, do I feel seen? And how are they looking at me? Like, do I feel judged by what I'm wearing? Because I'm not going to come in there just in your straight lace black suit. No, I'm going to come in my authentic self. Like, I'm going to show up. I got colors on. I'm going to be unique. Yes, I'm going to keep it professional, but I might splice it up. I might wear a nice pair of kicks. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, they're going to be clean. They're going to be professional.
Exactly.
Rock your style.
Period.
Just saying.
Y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Period.
Show up as your authentic self.
Mm-hmm. You need to. Because if you don't show up as your authentic self and you're going to that first step, that initial step to introducing yourself, they're going to, if you show up the first day and you're different, they're going to be like, who is this? Exactly.
Yeah.
They're the hire.
Or you don't tell them, they might not never say who this, but it's exhausting to hold that up the whole time.
Exactly.
So, it's like, man,
the same way I show up in an interview is the same way I show up.
You can do that, but it's like you literally go in the car and you're like
you're exhausted.
It's exhausted because it's putting on. It's like your brain is overthinking if you have to like put on a role. You know what I'm saying?
That's code switching all day long.
Yeah.
All day.
That is code switching all day long. That is what we do with code switching, where we feel like we have to perform and change our tone, our speech.
Yeah.
Everything about who we are. And then when we get to the car, it's like we take off all of that in order to just breathe and be ourselves. And it's like, no.
Exactly.
Be you.
I think that was powerful. The one word that someone said is, I want to go home unmasked.
Yes.
Unmaskless.
That was beautiful.
So like think about that too then. Like, I don't know. I can actually say in my life professionally that it's like I've been at work where I've been maskless, but I'm not maskless in front of everybody at work.
Right.
And I'm not going to.
No.
Because I don't think everyone deserves that either. So I think that's the one part I would probably add to the psychological safety part, mm-hmm. or maybe to that person's question is when they say it's not always on the responsibility of no, come up in here. Look, we got an extra mic. Just jump on.
Looking like a
10 people.
Why are you looking for them?
Because I have to give my PowerPoint to them.
What time you start? 4?
Yeah.
All right, come on here real quick and say a sentence about about this question real quick, and then you can jump off. We got Tibby joining us real quick. My friend, past DI, whatchamacallit, director. So Tibby, we were talking about right now, Tibisay Hernandez, to be correct.
Yeah.
We were talking about belonging, and we were basically just doing a recap of the presentation we just had. And I think, whatever your thoughts are, because you got to jump in and jump out. What are your thoughts on belonging, and just some of your thoughts on the notion? I like real quick before you leave, is your notion of the responsibility to be an advocate when you're the marginalized groups. I think someone actually brought that up. Was like, sometimes I don't want it to be the one. I don't need to check all this, negative behavior. Can someone else check the negative behavior? So I want to just get your thoughts on that part.
Well, first of all, that's a part of allyship is, not being a part of the marginalized group and jumping in when you are seeing the inequities happen. So 100%, we don't always have to be the ones that are the messengers. And also, sometimes we can't be the messengers. Sometimes psychological safety is something that was talked about a lot. Sometimes it's not psychologically safe for us to be the ones that are checking folks all the time. So I think that that's important for individuals that claim to be allies and advocates to understand. Secondly, you talked a little bit about what she was mentioning in terms of our responsibility. I think emotional intelligence is a leader's responsibility, and I think that's what separates a leader from a manager. A manager, makes things happen. A leader inspires people to make things happen. So it's important for folks who are trying to make this business case, right, of transcending and transforming and going forward. Your businesses will not survive if you don't have leaders that are emotionally intelligent and that can inspire and create belonging. Sorry, people are blowing me up.
Yes, I know you got to get your things done, though.
Yeah.
I've muted myself, but Tibby, definitely glad we got you on there. Definitely always respect you and the things that you did.
Thank
and I
you.
think one of the things that I'll say before you leave is that all those adjectives of what you want to have at a home, you provided in the DEI group that you did.
You.
Like when we said maskless, we had a chance to be maskless. We felt welcome. So insert all those adjectives that I put for my dream home. You provided that space for us with the D&I thing. So I just want to give you that kudos.
I just put
right
my
now.
face on. Stop trying to make me cry.
Yeah, that's
All
it.
right, I got to be out.
Yeah, she
Bye,
got to
y'all.
go. Bye-bye.
Okay, you don't have to have that.
Yeah. But see, that was great. See, that's what it is, man. We had to get Tibby on there. I don't know. I mean, I think she dropped a little mic on us about the business part. So let's talk a little bit about that too. Let's talk about the benefits of focusing on belonging. I think honestly, she spoke to it well. Tibby talked about the business case for it. What's some of your thoughts? Because I mean, can you give examples? For you about the business proposition. Like if you want to present this belonging thing to someone to really get to their they're motivated to invest in. You have some things. I got a couple, but I want to hear from y'all.
I can't say that I necessarily feel like I have to sell it on anybody.
Oh, okay.
Because it should be a part of your DE&I mission. It should be instilled in every pillar of what you're doing. First off, DE&I shouldn't be separate from everything else. It needs to be embedded in what you're doing. That's how it should be seen. So this shouldn't be anything different. Belonging should be just it's you shouldn't have to sell somebody on making people feel seen and valued in your company. Like
Yeah.
if you don't value your employees, are you really living by your mission and your values? Like, or is it just words on a paper? Because you're not living by what your creed is.
In a lot of spaces, it's just words on a paper or words on a website, and it's like really frustrating because it's like these words are strong words. These words are really powerful, yet you're not incorporating the things that you've said that you commit to doing into everyday actions, right? So that's just.
I think, and I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I think maybe for me, I've always been taught that words have extreme meaning, and once they're put down on paper or once they're said, they cannot be taken back.
Exactly.
yes, you can apologize for them. Yes, you can, revamp them. But once you put it out in there in the atmosphere, it's out there.
Exactly.
And so be very aware and cognizant of what you're saying, what you're doing, what you're putting out on paper, because it's it.
Aware of what you're saying, cognizant of it, and being intentional in the actions that come afterwards.
Right. So if you're going to put a vision or a mission statement out there, know that has to play into, and everyone has to feel seen and feel like they're a part of that. So if they don't feel like they fit into that mission, they fit into that vision, then it's you're just placing words out there. Exactly. This is why there were a lot of people who were up in arms about all of these Black Lives Matter statements that came out in 2020. And it was like, these are just words. Exactly. Where's the real meaning behind it? Where's the action that follows those words? Because right now, that's all it is. It's just fluff. You all are just riding the wave and trying to get us on board with your company. Is there real action that's going to happen with that? Because right now, I'm not seeing it. Exactly. And those words have meaning to me. And right now, that meaning says that you really don't care about me.
I was about to say, but I'm definitely gonna say that there should not be a need for it. But if there was a need for a business case, I would say three things. That if you do invest in this, and I need to get to your dollar, then you will recruit more people, because when people see that a place is awesome, they come to it, right? Like it magnifies it. No, I mean magnify it. It does the work for itself. You don't have to fully recruit per se. The people within. The people that would be the best recruiters, the actual current workers or alumni, right? So, if you really, when people learn about companies, if they know that people speak highly of it, that actually are embedded in that community, then they'll be recruiting more people, right? That's one. Then you'll retain people. So, therefore, we already know that the cost to onboard or hire someone is super expensive. So, you will save money there in regards to not having to retain, not to keep same people and not have this churn and burn. And then lastly, if people feel like they belong with the engagement part, they'll actually excel, they'll actually do well, they'll perform at high levels, and your things are good. So at the bottom dollar part is there too. You can make that case. Do this right now, you will yield the dividends. But I think the part that needs to be supported by that is that if someone says, oh, I invested in a positive work culture, I need to see how that impacts this work culture in this, this quarter. Well, some of that stuff habitual, you're not going to know about retention for 6 months. You need to see that we retain someone for 5 years.
Right.
That's so it's a long two metric recruitment. Oh, it's not that we just got one or two new people. Did we get a whole new wing of people, right?
Right.
And then the last one is the performance part. We can't just say we balled out one time. Did we consistently ball out in that? So I think sometimes with this wave and they're hiring, sometimes they're hiring all these D&I people and these people to invest in belonging, but not giving them appropriate time to make the thing systemic.
Exactly.
They're like, okay, we hired you D&I person, fix our problems. By next year, we should be excellent. Well, maybe it's so ingrained in culture.
Yeah.
Don't it take an equal? Doesn't it like science, right? It takes an equal mass or whatever. It takes an equal. It takes the equal thing to make things move, right? Equal force. So you can't say if you have a very systemic problem, then you need systemic solutions that are equal in effort, equal in time for that time to build up. If you got 2 years of problems, you can't solve it in 6 months.
Right.
You probably need, if 2 years worth of problems, the damage that's created probably needs twice as long to,
but
twice as long to heal.
You have to get rid of the problem. That's part of the
that too.
issue.
To be eliminated.
You can't just have. First off, let's
Band-aid it. Yeah.
Right. You're bringing in somebody and saying you, one person with limited resources, limited money, just fix all of our problems that have been here for years. What?
That's not fair.
That's not fair. And then when they don't deliver,
it's a setup.
It's a setup, right? So we talk about this whole glass ceiling effect. That is exactly what it is.
Exactly.
They feel like they have this ability to move up. They feel like they have this ability, and you promise them the world as they're coming in as a DEI professional, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Does he not see us?
No, he don't care, but whatever. We in the conference. We doing it, man. Bang, bang. Okay. Thank you. But yeah, whatever. We just recording over here, man. Thumbs up, buddy. My man. All right.
I felt like that whole Medea, like you see me? Because I see you. You see me? Like, what?
Yeah, am I invisible?
Wait a minute. I know y'all got something to do, but y'all got time.
Turn the volume up. Turn my headphones up. They don't care. Turn it up. We recording the podcast. They looking straight at us. Turn their volume up on the music. Forget that, man. That's what you get. Mad slow volume too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just testing it out.
Yeah, just saying. Yeah. Turning my headphones up. So, I mean, we had a really robust conference, about 30 minutes. I think it's good. What are some last thoughts? And then we'll do my shout-outs and plugs, but some final thoughts for y'all. Then we'll do shout-outs and plugs.
Shout out to the squad. No.
Bang, bang.
No, this is the type of conversation that needs to continue to go. It needs to keep going because if you let it die out, then you'll get those same people saying, hey, yeah, we can end this now.
Facts.
We don't have to keep having this conversation. It's okay. And this, we don't need to put enough money into the budget for this anymore. Oh, you know that person that we hired to cover this space? Let's terminate their position because they're no longer needed. I think we surpassed the expectation. No.
Right.
You can't surpass the expectation. It needs to be 1,000% ingrained. And if you have not gotten there yet, take a survey to see if you have. If you haven't gotten there yet, continue to get the work done. Continue to do it.
I think at some point we have to figure out what side of the fence we stand on and when we're going to push back. Because there are companies that are slowly creeping into states and trying to push this agenda to get rid of D&I. Like we talked about before, it's here to stay, yes. But as we've seen in history, there is a slow creep of things happening systematically that eventually takes over. It is like a virus. If you don't kill it at the head, if you don't put a stop to it, if you don't use your voice and your power however you have it, because we do all have power in some capacity, we do all have privilege in some capacity.
Yeah.
If we don't utilize it and capitalize on it, it will take over for us.
Period.
So we have to
Take the mic, drop it. It'll be loud, but
I'm not gonna ruin his mics, but
Yeah, throw the mic. Turn the volume up. Well, I mean, it's been great. You know, I couldn't think of two better people to debrief belonging, because y'all make me feel like I belong with my oddities or uniqueness. I'm mad weird, you know what I'm saying? Ask Whitney, man. You know, I'm a character, you know what I'm saying? There's a quick story. I say, talking about vulnerability, I told Whitney she can check me just like my wife, and she said, oh my gosh, I actually could tell paying for your wife because you had food all over your face. Like, you lost your charger like 3 times.
Cologne gone.
I lost my cologne. I bought some street cologne. Lost my street cologne.
Bro.
Like, first of all, a dude knew to come up to me talking about, can I sell you cologne? I'm buying cologne.
Like, all right.
I'm buying candy off the street.
Pebbles, like Fruit Loops.
I'm buying candy off the street. Like
he found the most vulnerable person out there.
I was supporting black business. That's what I was doing.
Right. Exactly. He's like, I got you, my man. I got you.
Yeah,
Had I been outside,
they were sprayed on my wrist. I was like, I don't know if I'm even allergic. I smelled that. I was like, that smell good. Buying cologne,
like Fruit Loops.
I was like, how did I get caught? But point is, and then she's like, wipe your face. But the point of that whole story was that I was comfortable to be myself. I knew I was safe. That's a roundabout way to say I was safe and comfortable and maskless, because if my wife heard this story later about me buying street cologne and food on my face, it would not surprise you. It would surprise you. I'm going to call that joke street cologne.
Street cologne.
Just street cologne. Who buys street cologne? Philip does. That joke a little vial, too. I get to do Cash App. I was like, that's not odd to me. I thought that was normal, you know?
Yo, do you even know what you put on?
No, he said, I asked him, I said, did you make this at home and you mix it? And he told me the whole science about it. You know me, I had conversation. I learned about making cologne and all this stuff. And he's like, bro, you should start wearing cologne more often. And I was like, I don't know, I just wear deodorant. I don't know, like
support black business.
You know, we had a whole conversation. I had a whole conversation with everybody. Then I put the cologne on, and I lost it.
It smelled good. That's
I was
the thing.
proud of myself. I was like, I smell good.
Okay.
And then I showed everybody. I got back. This was late at night, and I got back. I was so excited. I said, "Look at this new cologne I bought." And then I woke up and I was like, "I lost it. I already lost the cologne."
Like, how did you lose? I left 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you lost that jump. Somebody stole it. Like, it had to be
Somebody was
stole
like,
it.
"This smell good. I'm gonna take the chain."
I think someone down at the bar is wearing my cologne.
Exactly. If I go down there like, oh, you smell like Phil.
Smell like that. You smell like that cologne.
Exactly.
I actually walked back and said, "Anyone got my cologne?" And she was like, "I should have done like that." Anyone? I'm gonna smell if anyone got my cologne.
Exactly.
Smell like Fruity Pebbles.
Yo, that man said, "No, it don't smell like that. It smelled like was it? It was called Bliss's Bliss.
It was called Fruity Pebbles. That's what he needed. Fruit Loops, whatever it was. It smelled good.
Aromatic Bliss or something. It had a cool name. It was blue. I don't know what I put on my skin.
Hawaiian Breeze.
Hawaiian
Not
Breeze.
blue.
It was a blue. The vial was blue.
Yeah.
The blue juice. You know what I'm saying?
It had dye in it and everything.
Exactly. He put it on. It could have been toilet water.
Right.
That thing wasn't FDA approved.
Exactly.
Wow, that's a roundabout state to say how random I am, and I need people to help me not buy stuff off the street. But
We got you, Phil.
Exactly.
Yes, my wife will also appreciate that. So this is the part of the show called Shout Outs and Plugs. Give a shout out and then plugs where people can connect with you afterwards.
Oh, how can you connect with me?
LinkedIn.
I'm on LinkedIn, Monique Sample. I'm on IG, MC Sample 429.
Ooh,
Yeah.
MC Sample.
Connect. Yeah, that's about it.
Shout out to the squad.
Shout out to the
Let's
squad,
go.
to the squad.
Let's go. Connect.
Well, I mean, I don't need to say anything for Instagram, but
The
connect with me
LinkedIn.
on LinkedIn. Do I know what my thing is on LinkedIn? No, but you can find me, Whitney Kerr, Kerr. That's the last name.
Gang, gang.
Gang, gang. Instagram is Coco5X.
I love that. I love the fact that it's Coco.
Coco.
Mine's Ilfil 500. And it's still Ilfil 500. That's what I have from high school, man. I'm still Ilfil. I'm washed, though. But that's not here nor there. Well, thank you, Positive Philter listeners. It's been a great episode. As you know, every episode is dedicated to the memory of my father-in-law, Jeff Kirsch. So please consider donating to the Jeff Kirsch Anti-Hunger Fund. I put that in the show notes, everything. Please like, subscribe, share, give it a review on Apple or Spotify. Elevate the podcast. Man, they turning up the volume, making up chairs, so we got to be out of here in like 2 minutes. Holla at your boy. Peace.
Thank you for listening to Positive Philter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity of Movement. Thanks for listening.